from Vanscene.ca.
And we're here interviewing Joyce Island, and we're discussing her new up-and-coming self-titled EP.
Yes.
So, Joyce, how about you just kind of tell us about yourself and, you know, maybe some stuff that you'd love your fans, your current fans and your up-and-coming fans to know about you.
My name's Lisa Joyce, and I perform under the name Joyce Island. Born and raised in East Vancouver. I'm a Pisces. My favorite color is blue.
Obviously, if you're a Pisces.
Obviously. What else? I recently put out my first self-titled EP in the spring of 2013, which has been going pretty awesome so far. The album's starting to get some airplay like across Canada on CBC, which is awesome. And college radio, and yeah, I'm just going off on tour at the end of the month from Vancouver to Halifax by train.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be performing on the train all the way across Canada, and then getting off in different cities and doing shows there too. So it's going to be rad. It's going to be my very first tour across Canada, and first time in the Maritimes, so I'm pretty excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when we kind of listen to some of your releases and everything, we noticed there's definitely a lot of references to kind of classic rock and classic country and everything. So where would you kind of say that inspiration or that music style is kind of coming from?
Definitely from my parents' record collection growing up. So yeah, growing up as a kid, I feel like there was like this weird musical time warp in my family where we didn't really listen to like, you know, contemporary radio per se. It was always just like their old record collection. So grew up listening to like a lot of the old country stuff. Like Patsy Cline was my dad's favorite growing up, so that by default became my favorite. So she was like a mainstay staple for me as a kid, and I would just like sing her songs over and over and over, like obsessively. And Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, like that whole kind of like old outlaw dudes, Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where like the country element came in, and you know, I came from a musical family, so my uncle bought me my first guitar, and we would always play at like family gatherings. We'd get together and all play guitar and sing old country songs and stuff. So that's kind of where that piece came from. And then the rock and roll piece was probably like the other half of their record collection, which is like Rolling Stones, like early kind of Rolling Stones, Creedence Clearwater, CCR, yeah, and like the Who. Beach Boys, stuff like that.
Cool.
So it's kind of like, I guess if you merge those two influences together, it's sort of, it's like a bit of a hybrid, and that's, I guess, where I accidentally got my sound from. It's from them, from their albums, yeah.
But you can definitely, like, when you're listening to your vocals and everything, you can hear that kind of reference to Patsy Cline. Like, it's really, you have really beautiful pitches and everything that kind of is reminiscent of that era. So it's kind of neat that you can tell where an artist, you know, everything about you kind of comes from your history, and it's neat the way you explain it from your parents' perspective. So
yeah, it's trippy because like I didn't intentionally set out to have any particular style, but it just sort of morphs into what you've listened to for so long, and I think it just kind of like infiltrates your system, and without even knowing it, you end up writing that kind of stuff.
You listen to like what you like.
Yeah, like what you get stoked to play. You know. So yeah, I'd say those two genres for me are definitely like the things I get most stoked to play.
Yeah.
Country, like old country, and like straight up rock and roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
For the direction of your sound, and for future releases, where do you feel yourself going in the future?
It's a good question, because like I feel like I didn't even really know where I was going in the first place. So it was like just all kind of an accident in a sense. Like didn't really have any specific trajectory for the first album. So, like in terms of style or what I was hoping to put across, it was just like these were songs that I wrote, and let's just see how it goes. And it's been going better than I expected. It's been a pleasant surprise. As far as the second album, like I think it's hard to say. Like I feel like the more I would try to think about what it would sound like or look like, I'd get wigged out and weirded out, and then it might. I don't know. I'd get in my head about it. Yeah. So, but I would say one thing is that the hidden track on the current album, "Dry These Eyes," is the song that has unexpectedly been getting like the most attention and like radio play and stuff. And that's a little bit more. It's probably the most like alt country song on the entire album, And so I think for the second album, I'd like to go a little bit more that direction, if possible. Just something a little bit more in that vein would be, I think, what I have in mind. But, like, who knows, right?
That's true. And, like, when you go into record, do you typically have a set plan, or do you just like it to be, like, fresh and organic and just do whatever you're feeling?
Yeah, you know, it's weird. Like, I kind of go in with no expectations, because I feel like if I have expectations, then I'm just going to get all weirded out. And so I went in, when we did the recording of this album, I was really helped out a lot by Mikey Manville of the Manvilles. Like, they're in Toronto now. We had Chris Jaggers from Good Grief co-producing as well, and he played bass on the album. And Flavio Cirillo drummed on the album, and he's currently drumming for Hannah George's. So yeah, so we all kind of got in a room and just decided, like, let's make this album and, like, see what happens. And it ended up being a blast. So the process was very much like, it was kind of unexpected, and it just happened really naturally. Like, we didn't have any real plans of what it was going to sound like, look like. We just went in there and said, okay, let's do this. So yeah, and then the end result we were all pretty happy with. So
I feel like the best stuff comes about like that.
Yeah.
You don't really, like, you just go in and just see what happens. There's no expectations to it. Like you said, it could kind of jinx things or something.
Yeah, it's just very natural.
Yeah.
Like, very kind of just unexpected. Like, just roll with it, see how it goes. And yeah, at the end of the day, we were thrilled with it. So yeah.
Cool. So you were saying kind of, you know, Dry These Eyes has gotten a lot of attention and everything. It was definitely, I think, one of my favorites when I was listening through to all your songs.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, when you're performing a song like that, it's definitely, you know, more of an emotional track. What's your experience, you know, kind of performing that in front of a crowd?
It kind of feels like reading your, like, high school diary to a whole room full of people. So it feels very vulnerable and very emotional. Sometimes I have to, like, you know, kind of look within or think or close my eyes, or just so I don't, you know, get a little bit teary. I know that sounds really cheesy, but you know, it's a very personal song. So yeah, it is very vulnerable for me to perform songs like that. It's pretty raw, but I think that it comes from an honest place, and it just, like, it seems to affect people more in a sense. Like, it just kind of, like, what, you know, comes from the heart goes to the heart or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it feels weird sometimes, and I feel really exposed up there, but I'm getting more used to it as time goes on.
Well, maybe, I mean, that's potentially why people are connecting with it so much, right? Because you can really hear its honesty coming from you, and
hear you in the song.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, a lot of people have kind of dealt with maybe some of those emotions, hopefully, if people have any sort of heart or empathy. So I think it's quite beautiful, right, to see someone performing that, and for the crowd to kind of embrace that must be, like, an amazing experience. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. Thanks. Yeah, it's like, it's good in the sense that, like, I feel a lot more of a connection with the audience when I play that kind of material. It just feels like we forged this bond, and they're watching and they're supporting, and then I can kind of open up and be, like, myself and honest, and just be, like, up there raw in all my weird, awkward glory, you know?
I feel like the best songs, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the best songs are the ones that are really raw and, like, true to the person, because when the fan or somebody that's listening to the song, they can feel that emotion, your emotion, through the song in itself.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I guess if there's only one, you know, goal of the album, it was to have that happen and to just, like, convey that emotion and honesty. So yeah.
Well, you did it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You talked about before that you like when things are raw. Do you, like, when you're performing, do you like to perform, like, more stripped back sets, or do you like having a band with you, or do you just like doing the acoustic stuff?
They're both pretty different. Like, I often do have a band behind me when I'm playing, like a full band, and you know, that's fun. It kind of takes the songs to a much different level. It's definitely heavier, and it's got more layers to it, and it's a much different experience. It's super fun. Like, it's you get really into it, and when there's 3 other people up there with you playing. But I don't know, it's interesting, like, playing solo has actually been really, like, almost, like, cathartic for me, and it's just been, like, it's been harder and scarier for me to get up there by myself, but a lot of people seem to actually prefer it, and which caught me by surprise. But I'd say that it's like some people prefer one, some prefer the other, but it's like, you know, band members come and go, right? And sometimes it's just you up there, and so I like the idea that I can get up there by myself and, you know, like hold it down on my own if I gotta, you know, and sometimes I prefer it, and then sometimes it's nice to have like a bunch of dudes behind you rocking out with you, and it changes the experience. So I'd say I like them both for different reasons. Yeah.
I think this is where you cue Survivor by Destiny's Child.
I'm a survivor.
Oh, yeah. All you can depend on is yourself at the end of the day.
I always, like, it's always interesting to me what people listen to. Like, if I were to look at their iPod, it's always interesting to see what artist listens to and what kind of artists do you listen to if we were to look at your iPod? Like, what kind of music do you have in there?
Okay, this is like the moment of truth when you realize how terrible my selection of music is. No, I'd say it's kind of embarrassing, or maybe not, but most of it's pre like 1975. So there's like some Beach Boys, Pet Sounds on there at the moment. I've got some Will Oldham and Bonnie Prince Billy. I think I have some Songs Ohia. Definitely always have like Patsy Cline. And who else do I have on there? I have the Go-Go's.
Nobody can say anything bad about the Go-Go's.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Yeah, I have them on there right now, and like some 90s hip-hop, like Salt and Peppa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I use that for like when I go running and stuff.
Yeah.
Push it.
Yeah.
Push it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, right? So that kind of stuff. I also like some old stuff like NWA. Like I'm a pretty big NWA fan, which people sometimes find surprising.
Nice.
And so I usually have some of that on there. And I'm trying to think what I actually have at the moment. Some Friends bands and some dorky podcasts and things like that. Yeah.
I'm a podcast fan, so
it's
all good.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe like the last question, what would you say right now is your ultimate favorite song? Whether if it's in like a long time favorite, or if you have kind of like a guilty pleasure right now.
Okay.
What are you digging?
If I were to sort of think about my all time favorite, I think I'd have to say I Fall to Pieces by Patsy Cline. It's like it's been my favorite song since I was a little kid, and then I would sing it, you know, as a kid, like over and over and over, and then my parents would be like, sing Patsy for us, and then I would sing that song, and then now I still perform it like live sometimes, and so it sort of is very dear to my heart. So I'd have to say that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have one more. If you had to choose somebody that you could work with, like any artist, living or dead,
right,
who would it be?
Oh man, whoa, that's a good one. Shit. I
could do one living, one dead.
Okay.
That's too hard.
Yeah,
I would say for living artists, it would be a dream to do something with Wilco, or like Jeff Tweedy and Wilco. I've just like always been such a huge fan of their stuff, and I have often daydreamed about playing music with them. And then a dead artist, man, I don't know, maybe like Elvis?
Oh, I was thinking that.
Yeah, like a duet where he was like in his, you know, like
Full
glory,
yeah.
and he'd be like wearing
hip shaking.
Yeah, or he'd be like wearing like a rhinestone suit, and we'd be at the Grand Ole Opry together.
Yeah.
And then and we would sing a
Massive
duet.
sideburns.
Yeah. And then we would like sing to each other, like into each other's eyes.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, probably Elvis. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elvis.
Cool.
All right.